We go live into map 2 of our second semi-finals of the day. It's Dust 2 again, Tom. We've casted this map quite a few times over the last few days, and honestly, I think it heavily favors Gambit, but I'm hoping that we get that sort of youthful naivety in the best possible way for AGF to come straight out here and realize they have nothing to lose. They've already proven a lot of the doubters wrong. They've took Gambit very close. They've took Spirit very close. I want to see them pick up a map. I want to see them take it to a third.
Yeah, I like this dynamic. You get to be the beacon of positivity, and I get to ruin that by saying that they've only ever won 3 maps. One of them was against Nordavind, one of them was against Masonic, who I don't know. The other was Floscola, but we'll see. Maybe they really can do something impossible in the pistol round. It's looking pretty damn good. Lucky and Christo starting things off, but the trades come back thick and fast. Christo, it looks away, but actually, I think the flash did leave a couple of them blind. The bomb will exit the site. TMB, though, he's looking to lock them in. A bit of a whiff shot initially, but it doesn't matter. And now Inter's P250 Kevlar has to be the clutch king. It's not going great so far.
Yeah, that crown has been passing around quite a few times, different players. It's a really awkward encounter. TMB almost looks to the heavens in pure disgust at himself. And I mean, we saw on Inferno, the guy has crazy good aim. Definitely one of the standout players. Good to see, though, that AGF, after losing in a very disappointing fashion after having vast leads multiple times, haven't let it get them 2 down, and they come straight out with a pistol, allows them to try and secure themselves a solid economy. But Gambit, they won't be messing about. They've gone in for a force, and it includes a lot of utility and a lot of pistol upgrades.
Normally, teams shy away from a force buy, especially on this map when it is relatively easy to get a bomb plant over on the A site. Normally, you just see maybe a Deagle or something invested to try and get the entry, but other than that, not too much else. But they've gone all in here, clearly feeling confident in their Dust 2, and to be honest, I can see why. They've been impressive so far, looking like they're about to attempt to bombard this B site. 4 players set up at Sauda, but it seems like the CT side have a pretty good read. 2 players in middle. Hobbit almost looking like he's dancing with death, like pulling off some sort of Ali G level moves as the bullets don't really connect onto him, and he's faked them out. He alone has just pulled a full rotation from Christo to the other side and even starts edging other players. Now the rest of the team go barreling into the B side. Lucky needs to hit some shots with this FAMAS. We know the tech can do damage, but already he survives far longer than he ever should, gives his teammates a chance to rotate, and has done a truly fantastic job.
Only 1 loss of life come the end of the round. Considering that was a full force on Gambit, that's an excellent hold for AGF. They'll be very happy with that outcome. And they must realize with the Kevlar and the amount of utility that they're going to be down into the dumps, the doldrums, with their next purchase. So AGF, successful pistol, very comfortable anti-force, and now they can reap the rewards. 3 MP9s, a very good chance of building up a ton of cash.
I think I realized the reason I've been bigging up TMB so much over the last few rounds, and that's because if you remove some of the letters from Tombiz, you get TMB. Perfect match. It's almost like he might be just naming himself after me, of course. I know the Danes are a big fan of me. I feel like Vu might have rubbed off on me a little bit, and my ego might be growing a tad, but who knows?
Just don't kill any spiders, Tom, all right?
Don't worry, I won't do it, Big V.
Cheers. Lemon sauce, was it? I can't remember. Was it lemon sauce? Out of context, people think I've lost my head.
I think that was one of them. The other was Toxic Bald, which was so named after a guy in the PGL Twitch chat, because I was harping on some of the worst plays I'd ever seen in Asian Counter-Strike. Yeah, in that context, I'll admit I was fairly Toxic Bald.
Right, we'll let you off, Tom. I'm surprised that Blair has such a beautiful head of hair, honestly. With some of the Counter-Strike that he's been forced to witness over the years. Exile, MP9 will be his demise. And although AGF lost the first player, they have come back straight away in this bonus by plucking out multiple Gambit players. They still have to deal with this aggression onto the side. Hobbit taking point. There's the bomb just behind him. Using the Amber Hat as a way forward. Has the right idea. Nearly connects enough shots to put down Netric, who survives on 14. Important that he stays alive. Gives them an extra body to run straight down the throat and try and retake what was once theirs. He has the MP9 in hand. Hobbit, big headshot. TMB, one of the key members for this rotate, has been dealt with, and suddenly all the barrage of bullets are connecting onto the Danes. After a great start, it seems like they may be letting this slip away again. Froslef just has to save. He can't feasibly clutch this, and the AK is worth far too much to throw away. Gambit, though, they get their first round, and it's much sooner than it had appeared on Inferno.
Yeah, I expect it to be as well. Like, we know that on their T sides is where Gambit normally becomes the most dangerous. For AGF, this really isn't too bad a situation to be in. Bear in mind, their money is still pretty decent, so I think they'll be able to spread the wealth fairly evenly, and they made some decent money over the last few rounds, so this is absolutely fine. To touch on a previous point, I think the reason Blair's hair is actually so long is because every time he sees a play in Asian Counter-Strike he can't explain, he delays his haircut for another day.
Jeez. He's going to have a world record. He's definitely going to have a world record at this rate. AGF, however, because of how easily they repelled the earlier pushes, they're not forced into an eco. The saved AK held them out in that endeavor. Now Gambit comes straight back in. Grenade tossed down to short. Hobbit took the nade and then a shot from Christo. I'm surprised he's still alive to tell the tale, albeit on only 12 HP. We had a good passage of play for AGF. No way, of course, of knowing exactly how bad the situation is for Hobbit, who decides to keep pushing. He bypasses the Molotov. He's off alone, and Christo misses his shot. Now, a map like Dust 2, you need your AWPer to shine here. This would be unacceptable if Christo has two poor performances in a row. And now middle is under control of the T's. A smoke down onto CT side. We'll be looking to push through it in the hands of Christo. Inter, in the meanwhile, goes in. Hobbit back in with the AWP, and Lucky, using that smoke to his advantage, decides to push into the second smoke. It's now starting to dwindle. I doubt Shiro expects him to be up close, but still takes his head clean off. And Netric now has to contend in the 1v2. Both players are low, and they do not have a lot of utility to go for the plant. Smoke was tossed onto the doors, but after it's only a HE. Netric, in the meanwhile, though, does have the kit and a flashbang, and will look to flash himself through on the doors, but Shiro's there and he's waiting. And whereas the economy was looking sharp, now it's been brought back down to earth.
Yeah, a few real crunch moments in that. Like risky plays being made by Lucky. The headshot that Axel hit as well over the top of the smoke was slightly ridiculous, and the early stages of that round looked really good for AGF, like both getting an opener and also doing a hell of a lot of damage to Hobbit. That was Shiro's 20th plus 10 or better Inferno game of the year. Well, he doesn't have too many more opportunities to up that statistic. We are getting into the latter stages. It's almost December. This year's super weird. Like, it feels like it's been incredibly long, but it also feels like it's gone by very fast. Mainly because I don't think I've moved from this chair in a year.
Same. I think a lot of people share that feeling, to be honest. And judging by some of the pro players on Twitter, they're feeling like the year's kind of dragged a little bit as well.
Was the last time I left the country when I saw you? Like back in the Katowice when we did it in Cologne?
Yeah, it might have been, actually. That's true. That was January or something. Pretty nuts. Hopefully things get back to normal relatively soon. In terms of this game, though, it may be business as usual for Gambit if they can break this force buy. AGF decided that Froslef on $4,000 could yield the AUG, and that would be good enough. Deagles alongside it. This is a pretty risky purchase to kick the map off, but it may just go to show that AGF have that confidence that they can turn it around and get it back in their favor. But Froslef is the only Dane that has struck out and taken one of Gambit alongside him. Christo and Netric both fell by the wayside. Gambit in control.
Wonder if they have the right read as well. Walking back to back. Proslep hoping for a bit of a miracle. Bomb yet to cross, but that was almost the bait taken away by Axel, just making sure that his teammate would be able to cross comfortably. An off the plant position where you can't really expect too much from AGF, but with retrieving a rifle onto TMB, I would almost like to see that thrown over to Lucky with the Kevlar and have him go hunting for extra kills rather than anything else. Unless Lucky's just going to save as well and keep that Kevlar into the next round, in which case that's absolutely fine. Nonetheless, for Gambit, money, as we sort of mentioned, it's not been clean. They haven't been winning these rounds comfortably. In fact, the last came down to just a couple of players surviving. So I don't think they're going to go on the hunt. It's not the time to do that just yet. And with AGF coming up with probably not a whole lot going into the next round, they might want to start hunting things down once they've made the cash.
Yeah, with some of these save guns, you can have TMB drop a deagle across to one of his teammates. Everyone should have some kind of upgraded gun, whether it be a pistol or indeed the primaries of the AUG or the AK. It'll be a decent-ish buy, all things considered. Now, in some maps, you may even justify going for a full force at this kind of a position, but because it's Dust 2 and you want the AWP wherever possible, definitely not worthwhile. Christo with his deagle had a great spawn for this, catches Hobbit, who is switching weapons and just knocks him down cold. Still alive as well on decent HP, and now the AUG rips through Nafani. Lower control and tunnels has been eradicated. TMB shows his hand in car. A complete collapse for Gambit.
Yeah, all off the play of one. I like the quick transition into the boost as well. That was quick thinking from AGF to pretty much garner a second kill for free. Shiro's still standing though. He's yet to have a highlight play on this map just yet, so we might be about to witness it here. His teammate goes walking into the B site as well, and that's a hell of a lot of control. The problem is Shiro's being hunted. There's a chase from TMB. I don't think he's going to be caught though. Too far forward. It just depends if he gets through this avenue in time. Oh, it's close, and he's actually had to go the other way, needing to kill off TMB, and actually he's being pressured from multiple angles. The tunnel's push looking to come in from support, and actually there's still a player outside B. Roslev has to be careful. He's being tagged through the smoke, and they are cleaning this up. A nice attempt in the 2v5, but AGF instead have won a round with very little.
Even though TMB didn't get the outright kill, which you'll be disappointed with, you could see the chaos it caused for the last two Ts. They were stuck in this really awkward upper tunnels area where they needed to help one another out. And in doing so, the other two players that were pushing through tunnels and B were able to just lock it down. TMB, though, gets winged on the cross, dropped to 31 instantly. Around that, they'll feel they just stole away from Gambit. They need to be careful and not just instantly go back into losing ways. They've at least built up their economy into nice shape. 3 players will be able to afford whatever happens here. But get that consistency back underway. Christo played aggressively last round with the deagle, had a lot of success. Now comes in with the AWP, the one and done spot. Hobbit will be smoking off towards the approach on Catwalk. Maybe not, thought second best of that decision. But Gambit very slow this time, Tom.
Now they've reached the calm of the storm, you could say. Not wanting to overplay their hand. Normally, again, we see them having strong T sides, and sometimes the questions arise a little bit more on the CT sides of the map. So wanting to make sure this doesn't slip. The CT's actually getting aggressive. Now, Inters is waiting on an almost instant headshot angle. He misses slightly, but then corrects his aim. Both players go down. B site on lock. Round is done.
Oh yes, this is save territory right here. Inter's a player that so often comes out on bottom of the scoreboard, bottom statistically, where you can't fault that spray transfer. That was spot on. Not a single point lost of him in terms of health. AGF instantly onto the back foot, but as I touched on before, their money is in good shape, so they can buy no problems, especially with this save, and they've got 2 AKs. So as far as saves go, it doesn't get too much better than this. Now, Gambit, their money's not in great shape. They could do themselves more harm than good if they get too greedy. They realize it. They back away. It's 4-4, though. Incredibly close, very tight between the two teams, but keep in mind that AGF did have a 3-0 lead off the back of the pistol, so the score itself maybe doesn't paint the full picture of how this game has gone.
Yeah, the unfortunate truth as well for AGF was that was a really good opportunity for them to destroy the economy of Gambit. Like, the money was on the brink. I don't know if you spotted at the beginning of the round, but Hobbit was only on a Tech 9. So they already had real issues with their finances. Now they've just had a round with 5 alive. So it's only going to get tougher from here. Gambit have a bit more of a backbone, support, financial backing, and the CT side, well, sure, they got away scot-free from the last one with the 3-weapon save and the money being invested, but next time they might not be so lucky. The other thing as well is, as you mentioned, like, Gambit were almost holding back a little bit because they knew as well as we did that their finances weren't going to allow them to just throw 3 players in. This time, if it's the same scenario, they'll be on the hunt.
Will they get the chance? Will the hunters become the hunted? The prey, as they looked at it, is now fighting back. Beware of a team with nothing to lose. Bristow with 2 kills still on Goose. Hasn't been cooked just yet, but Frostleft needs to be careful. There's a Molotov just behind him. Smoke is also put into place. Allows him to stay in position a little bit longer. Nice shrapnel damage inflicted to Hobbit. Drops to 55. They still yet to get the bomb planted and haven't really traversed the bomb over either. That's in the hands of Shiro, who's still stuck on Catwalk. Now, they're not sure if they're getting pushed from behind either, from middle. So there's a lot going on right now in the minds of Gambit. Do we push? Do we pull the plug? Time itself is against them. They are going to have to go forward. And in doing so, some of these angles may go unchecked. It's not as if the support system on the site is all alone either, but Hobbit, he can see the pixel, and now he's given the chance to strike. Tech 9 switched across. He goes for the cross. The timing for Christo. He pulls out his pistol at the worst possible moment, and now Hobbit's tapping at range. The 2 Ts get onto the site. It's Spray. They're planting in amongst the smoke. Lucky sprays down onto the head of Hobbit. It's a one-on-one, but now he is known. His position compromised, and it's the top fragger from the last map that's up against him, and Shiro continues to grind out the rounds. Grind out the clutches.
How Hobbit managed to break that play apart, I have absolutely no idea. The only way in my mind that round was ever going to go the way of Gambit was if Axile wins his battle on long, and then I think they would have fallen like dominoes. Instead, the second he died, I was like, round over. Instead, he not only picks up the first, Tech 9 up close, well, we know that it's an absolute menace, and then kills the guy on long as well. And even still, there was an opportunity for the remaining player of AGF getting back in to win that round. It shouldn't have gone their way. Never should have happened. But these were the rounds that we started to see coming up for Gambit in the last map. Impossible rounds being won by talented individuals. And unfortunately for AGF, they now don't have the money to really invest into this one. You can see they've taken a pause to almost just go, okay, do we go for anything here? Or is it just going to be another save?
If you look at the overall kill count on both teams, AGF have more kills than Gambit, and it's by a little bit of a margin as well. It goes to show that those first 3 rounds, AGF was so dominant, and in these rifles, Gambit have consistently just grinded them out. 2v2, 3v3s. Never quite looked fully comfortable, but because they've just won this war of attrition, now AGF into an eco more than likely. Got a couple players that could buy, but 3 that really can't afford to. And Gambit are starting to build up that economy. It's not in amazing shape. If they do concede a few players, that's going to sting them. But Gambit, they're just keeping themselves slightly in the lead. Axile, again, has been eerily quiet. So that's the other scary aspect as well, Tom. We touched on this Inferno. If Axile decides he wants a piece of the action, that's where it gets a little bit too out of control for me.
Yeah, I think that's the way we have to look at it at this point. It's like, obviously him not being on point is a huge negative for the team. But if I was going to say, if they're still winning without him, it's a terrifying prospect. But, wow, TMB has just absolutely owned Hobbit, who was watching from the spawn. No matter what happens to AGF here, like I think I'm looking forward now to seeing Christo on North. That's a really exciting prospect. But more so, TMB has definitely made a fan of me. Like, he is, I A fantastic player who I look forward to seeing in the future. Kind of annoyed, if anything, that the Danes have another talent that they're waiting for. Somehow this round is actually looking relatively close, though. A 2-for-2 trade. Still a player waiting, actually, on the A site that they have to deal with. Sure, it's Netric with 1 HP, and he's going to be caught reloading. Unfortunate timing, but Froslev comes back in with the drive-by MP9. Axile will double up his kills. He had a few impact rounds when it came to overtime, actually taking us to overtime in the first place. Now Froslev, don't see a way out of this, Vince.
Well, the only way I see it is a trip to the morgue, and Inters has put him right into the body bag. 6 and 4. They didn't fully invest into the round, so they do have another one coming up, another potential threatening round, a dangerous one. But again, I go back to what we said before. It was 3-0 to AGF. Since then, they've only won 1 rifle round. The rest of them have been firmly in the pocket of Gambit. Not all of them have been clear-cut, mind you, but they have been successful more often than not. And if that continues, AGF are eyeing up a pretty disappointing, devastating half.
Oh, thought he was going to get away with at least one there. TMB has been able to find the trade. The B site hold from AGF previously wasn't bad, but a lot of it did rely on lucky. However, TMB looking to take things into his own hands here. Peek out to deny a second. Axel, even waiting for Netric to peek, is still caught out. Normally his lurks are so effective because he finds entries into sites where they can rotate. Instead, they've now just got to rotate, hoping they can find some kills along the way. And well, peeking Christo like that is never wise. Shiro, 33 HP, 1v4. Does he have any more miracles left?
I think he might have dried up, honestly, Tom. I mean, 33 HP, 40 seconds, can get his hands on the bomb. There's maybe a way through on Catwalk. Actually, is the bomb down on Xbox? I think it's in an even more awkward position where he'd have to make noise to even drop down and pick it up. So I think at this stage, so having a look at the economies, like we can probably buy in the next round. Their economy's not fantastic. If I can get some kills, maybe that's good enough for the bigger picture. Not afforded that luxury. And that will be another round going the way of AGF. So the Danes, they are standing their ground. There was a couple of shaky moments, but TMB, it's kind of disgusting. The guy with a rifle, really good, can also pick up an AWP, because of course he can. Why not? I'm not jealous at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Also only 18. Let's add that in as well, just to make it a little bit worse. And he gets to live in Denmark rather than Newcastle, which...
Listen, I love where I'm from. I love, but yeah, apart from that, definitely jealous. They think, oh, geez, that grenade. The question is, though, Tom, did North pick up the wrong player?
Well, the other player they picked up is also only on trial, so... It is basically just their academy team, right? They can get him at any point. I guess that's the way you got to look at it, is you trial another player. If they suck, you just go, well, we know we can get TMB whenever we want. So I would say Christo's been a little bit more up and down. But then again, he is a primary AWPer. Like, I think, as I sort of mentioned earlier, anybody we consider a consistent AWPer, we're looking at Device, top 3 player in the world for like 5 years. We're looking at Zywoo, Simple, 2 of the best players ever. Anyone else, like another consistent AWPer at a time was Kenny S. Again, considered one of the best players in the world. So it gets to a point where if you are a truly consistent AWPer, you are then just put in a bracket of being one of the best players of all time. So I'm not really going to harp on anyone for being inconsistent in a role where you basically have to just continuously take fights.
It seems like he's picked up his performance here. You know, he had 35 ADR on Inferno, had only 11 kills, so he's nearly equalized the amount of frags that he picked up, but he's way higher in terms of ADR, so it's good to see him have big performance. TMB, also 10 and 6, has more assists, more impact when it comes to the rifles. Flashing out onto long, AGF taking control, and speaking of TMB, he is the first player in, nearly lined them up for a 2-on-1. I actually thought he connected it at first, But Nafani, that second player in, will punish him and do a lot of damage to Netric. Long control being attained, but that's only half the battle, because AGF haven't been fully compromised on site.
The other thing as well is most of the time, Gambit do not commit to these early fights. Like, they'll go for a battle and then they'll fall back and reposition for another part of the round, be it just slowing down or in other cases rotating all the way off. So we haven't really seen that pure brute force mentality from Gambit just yet, and it hasn't really been necessary. Again, though, normally we do see their T sides being stronger, so keeping them even if it is just including the pistol, that could be a problem. However, it's been a couple of kills, but Froslip straight through the smoke has managed to bring this back. 44 seconds. Enters. A slight misstep, but he does manage to do some damage. Push coming through the smoke, and Froslev caught in between two different players. Enters. It didn't even seem like he knew his opponent was there, and Lucky eventually pounces from behind. AGF regained the lead after what was a streak of rounds going in the other direction. And now, wow, edging ever closer to winning the half.
Got to give AGF a lot of credit. A team that, by their own admission, doesn't have a lot of experience at this kind of caliber or this kind of level. After a very difficult to justify loss on Inferno that they'll be feeling should have been theirs, to come back and have tenacity and grit of this level, to actually lead Gambit after going behind multiple rounds and we're thinking, here we go again, to then come back. Very impressive stuff from the Danes. And they may go from strength to strength. Hell, they could even finish this half with wins and go 9-6 in the lead going through to T-side. A map that very few people would have given them a chance on. We were all thinking a win condition was Inferno followed by Overpass. No one really gave them a hope in hell's chance of Dust 2, and yet here they are in a 2v5. Albeit, it was effectively against just pistols. So I'm not going to get too carried away in this round, but the overall landscape of how Dust 2 is going is boding well for TMB. I was going to say TMB, but AGF is mainly what I was going for.
He's been a big part of the team, so we can give him the praise he needs. Enters, well, not a hope in hell. 50 seconds, bomb in one of the worst possible positions. He actually lands that shot. I think he must have clipped something along the way, and actually kills off Netric. It's meaningless in terms of the actual round because they've got plenty of finances and we are going into the final round of this half. But I'm liking AGF's resilience. Like, even on an individual level, they're starting to now battle against the team that we didn't really expect them to match up against. I thought it was almost a sort of humble position being made by Hobbit when he said, oh, you know, I think AGF can beat anybody. When in reality, I doubt he expected himself that they would be able to beat Den.
Nafani straight through, good flashbang before the push came into effect, and it has forced away a second player of Netric back onto the car. Froslev quickly, who was thinking about pushing Catwalk, doubles back, helping his brother on the car out. But Netric doesn't need help. He stands there alone, fends off against Nafani before he gets countered. Skewered by the grenade. Now Froslev using the jump up, just peering over the smoke, but to be fair to Gambit, they're using that smoke perfectly to shroud their aggression. But now Lukey knows where they are, using every single bullet in the magazine, sprays down 3, and puts it to Hobbit in a 1-on-2. Another round that Gambit could have had, and instead it could be working against them. Phenomenal effort, and they have control of the bomb. Hobbit backs away, wants to use the AWP at the longest range possible, actually knocks Lucky down through the box, and now makes the move over. Switches to the AK, catches a glimpse over TMB, but TMB will not miss. 9-6 to AGF going through to our second half.
that tone of voice you're using there. Resentment flowing down the line. I can't stand when you are not near. We can sort it out when you're here. Face to face. Let's talk about it. Face to face. Let's talk about it. Face to face. Let's talk about it. Face to face. And I really need to talk to you, girl. And we really need to make this happen. And I really need to talk to you, girl. Face to face. Let's talk about it. Face to face. Let's talk about it. Face to face. Let's talk about it. And I really need to talk to you. Face to face.
AGF proving to the world that they absolutely deserve to be in the semi-finals and have a very real shot at maybe even joining Spirit in the grand finals. But they're going to have to do something that they were unable to do on Inferno, and that's convert a halftime lead. This time it's 9-6 as they move across to the T side.
Yeah, the side we almost expect them to perform better on at this point, but they've got a fearsome TT side to beat, and Inters is going to start things off. Hobbit and Inters have just combined for 4 kills in a matter of seconds. We're only 30 seconds into this round, and it is already finished. One of the fastest rounds I think I've seen in a long, long time. And Gambit, wow, they're all but set. Looking to try and string things together. I think we saw a small investment coming in here. This was clean from Hobbit and Inters, though. A really good B-site hold. And that's the thing we sort of missed when it came down to Inferno. Their defensive side, their CT setups look poor, whereas here, the crossfire, perfect.
I mean, a huge surprise for me as well is that Axile still only 2 kills with 50 ADR. That's a huge shock, considering how well he's been as of late. Inters has been playing well. He had a lot of moments on Gambit, but can't help but feel that Axile is like looming on the horizon. You always know that threat is possible. Shiro, though, with the scout looking over onto Catwalk from the back of A. Incendiary, well-timed. All 5 players of AGF were laid in wait, and actually Christo's taken a bit of damage from that molly and then nearly finalized from the grenade. Just pure damage from utility down to 31, and then finished off in midair from Shiro, who may go in for more. May not be required, though, because Hobbit has him covered, but not for much longer. Lucky puts the bullet in his head. Shiro keeps going back in for more, and he finishes off a 4K. He can't deny the bomb plant, but so well played by Shiro again.
The thing that always seems to blow my mind about Shiro is most AWPers in that situation, they go, okay, I'm not going to hit that guy who's jumping and falling through the air, so I'll just ignore him and then go for the other players who are just running normally. Whereas Shiro goes, what, you think my wrist can't flick that far? No, I'll get rid of you first and I'll move on to the rest of you later. This is ridiculous. His reactions are insane, and yeah, it's a joy to watch. I guess that's the one thing that's good about Axile underperforming is we've had the Shiro show pretty much all the way through. Fast push coming in. This nade could do an insane amount of damage. It's not going to get the chance. Already Nafani has sprayed down 3 through the door. I'm guessing he's enjoying that change at least. Nice shot from Christo, though. Only a Tech 9 invested. Another nade dunked. I'm sure they get 2 kills going into this round, but the main weight is for the purchase coming up here.
It also shows you how quickly Shiro can calculate what's the best play to make. Like, it actually shows he has great in-game IQ. Because remember that Hobbit was up on Goose when that shot connected. The biggest threat there is a player dropping down into CT and then overwhelming him from flanking from the side. So taking him down and allowing Hobbit to hold his side is actually such a good play. I'm not sure if that even factored in. I might be giving him too much credit. But anyway, back into the present. TMB and Christo putting down the kills. They know another player went into ramp that's now been quelled in the form of Hobbit. Great bounce back from the Danes again. It's a 5-on-2. A couple players are low, but Inters may be walking into a trap. But now the Lucky's position is compromised. He will be able to finalize and pick up the AK.
Yeah, this has save written all over it. Unless somehow Shiro hits one, like crossing into a silly position. They've got no reason to go for this. They've got enough money to buy into the next round, with both Axile and Hobbit having enough to buy themselves, and Shiro with the ability to drop one. But as you said, an important bounce bank, and in a fashion as well that I think will get the blood pumping a little bit for AGF, because that's the situation where Gambit have the right read. They send 3 players to long, they try and stack up with utility, and they get slaughtered. Like, sure, they do a bit of damage along the way. Like, it very easily could have been Christo and TMB going down instead, but nonetheless, the job is done. For the CT side, just making sure they have a purchase into the next round is going to be relatively important. It's one of those situations where, again, and unless you get particularly good spawns, battling for that every single time is probably not going to work, but it's definitely a good way to get yourself a round on the board. And hey, it seems like smiles are still flowing when it comes to AGF.
Yeah, it definitely does kind of breathe that same feeling that they were discussing with Netric in the pre-game interview that we've already touched on a couple of times, where it's like they're just happy to be here. You know, it just seems like a team that, even though they've got close, that in itself is kind of a victory. It's like, look, we took Gambit to overtime. We're taking Gambit down to the wire again. That's not a good smoke, though. That smoke is off. And Shiro will punish you every day of the week. It doesn't land on CT. You can see the gaping hole that leaves. You better believe that Gambit will make the most of those freebies. Nafani now up on the boxes. TMB, who's managed to snake his way in, will be waiting to see if a second player came in. If he'd waited a bit longer, maybe he would have struck twice, but instead it doesn't really matter because B-side has been lost. For how long? We'll have to wait and find out, because Hobbit maybe can thread a couple kills through the smoke, which has now been fully deployed, and the bomb plant will follow. 3-on-3 retake.
All the utility is almost worn out for the side of Gambit. Nice shot from Christo as well. It's a shooting gallery for him with Axile, the other man, at the back of the site. Everything falling into a standstill. It seems like, again, the CTs might just be looking for exits. And actually, Axile smoked them in. He's like, oh, you know what? If you want to try and exit through here, you're going to have to run through a smoke. Instead, they're going to be facing Shiro, who is looking to just try and make this round as costly as humanly possible. In fact, Bristo's just gone into the corner, knowing that he can survive the bomb, whereas Lucky, well, not the case this time.
Yeah, I mean, you hit that on the head. That smoke is almost like a brick wall at that point, and it funnels away the T's into an awkward spot. Now, they have plenty of money, but that money's just been cut back down to size. Speaking of financial difficulties, though, Gambit find themselves very much in the same ballpark. They have to go in for a full investment, and it is actually Nafani just down to a deagle. So this is a rough look for both teams, but certainly much worse for Gambit, because other than Lucky, let's be honest, the rest of AGF are actually okay for money. They're okay for their cash.
Thorpe of Shiro again is going to be called upon, and TMB like he can maybe find. There's going to be a player just up close, Nafani, waiting patiently to see if he can catch any sort of aggression. Smoke's going to be falling, but he gets spammed through it. A lot of damage being taken in response. However, for now, a fairly even trade and a lot of time wasted. The problem is the current setup for the CT side leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to this B site. Nafani rotating in to try and support Inters, but realistically, this hold is not looking too likely.
Does seem like this is built on a house of cards, which is about to come crumbling down. Into Snow goes unchecked, nearly gets two. A lot of damage to both, but Christo threading the headshot. 25 seconds will take something truly spectacular for Hobbit to hold the line by himself. Other two players seeming like they've already given up, not anticipating Frostleft to be up close that quickly. And now it falls down to Shiro. Very similar feeling that he would have had on the early stages of Inferno. Him against the world, trying to save an AWP. That does mean that AGF will move to 12. And again, I did touch on the economy being in pretty poor shape. There is a very real possibility here, Tom, that AGF, at bare minimum, may take us to overtime again. Things are certainly shaping up nicely for them. Shiro gets one, gives his position away though, and this is where Frostleft on catwalk could be huge, but Shiro continues to punish, continues to grind out the kills, but finally he meets his match in the form of Christo, who's had a huge step up in performance from the first map.
Oh, for sure. Like, he managed to only get 11 kills in what was an overtime game. And here he's doing far better on an individual level. The other thing as well is, again, we're seeing the vulnerabilities of this CT side for Gambit. Again, reliant on the individual players. And I'll be real, I think they didn't do quite enough on the T side as well. A bit disappointing from what I expect of this team. So now things are falling apart. And, well, mentioned the fact that, hey, if you can win this game without Axar, that could be a pretty terrifying prospect if they're still being able to actually put up rounds. Well, that's not been the case anymore, and he's still really struggling. I don't know if he got up on the wrong side of the bed or if he just needs some sort of pep talk, but whatever it is, might be something they have to think about before we get to map 3, because that looks like where this is going, unless somehow they do something in this round. Hobbit with the pistols found one. Oh my goodness, that fell out nowhere. This is the round where he goes nuclear. 2 kills off the back of a USP, an AWP shot as well connected. And he's just come out of absolutely nowhere and managed to take a round, with Lucky being left to try and clutch it.
I'm sorry, Gambit, but what the hell is that? Exile with a 4K, and just as we were saying, he had 2 kills before then, Tommy. He was on 40 ADR, he just jumped up to 60. He'd literally done nothing the entire game, and then he just pops out. He's like, you know what? I feel like I might just try this round. Just wrecks everybody.
I need a slow-mo of the smile that he gave to his teammates after that round. That is one of the cheekiest grins I think I've ever seen from a player, and understandably so. That was straight BS. And Lucky, he's just come up with a couple of kills, while Blind Axile, again, he's now got 6 kills in 2 rounds, and he had 2 kills in the remaining, what, like 20? That's absolutely ridiculous. I get 21. My math skills clearly aren't very good. Nonetheless, it's still going to be a 3v3 situation. The investment here from AGF wasn't fantastic. They still had a few pistols in the mix, and they've managed to get it back to at least rifles in play. Xbox smoke going through. Give a bit of a shroud to any player in middle, and may actually bait Shiro into taking a peek into mid and leave Hobbit alone.
He's quadrupled his kill count in the last 2 rounds. Hobbit, in the meanwhile, though, has a lot of issues that he needs to put into place. Smoking himself out in the car. They know exactly where he is, and that smoke will only buy him a certain amount of time, so he needs someone else to come in. Now, he knows that his days are numbered, so he goes in aggressive. That is experience. That is the grizzled veteran that is Hobbit. Making big plays when they're required, and he lives. He knew his only way out of this round was to fight himself out, tooth and claw, just get anything he possibly can, and by the skin of his teeth, he lives. And now Gambit draw back to just a 1-round deficit.
Do I realize this Gambit team is? And obviously with a few CIS teams being put under pressure for things that have happened over the last few months, this might not be the smartest thing in the world to say on broadcast, but it's like when you're playing a matchmaking game, you start winning convincingly. That one dude disconnects from the server and then starts pulling out some sheer BS rounds, and well, you click on their name on the tab screen and start clicking that report button as fast as you can. That's what we've just witnessed from Gambit, because that's now happened in both maps. They've looked out of it. It's looked done. And then out of absolutely nowhere, we've just seen some arse rounds. Like, that's what it's been. Just things that don't make any sense whatsoever.
It has been absolutely outrageous at times, for sure. And I wonder how much of that is just Gambit saying, screw it, like, we're the better players. Let's just free ourselves up, not think too much about this, but let's just go purely onto, like, predatory instinct. Push around the corner, land the headshots, go aggro. And I do also wonder if it's maybe AGF lacking that ruthlessness that teams need to convert leads. This is an issue that a lot of the biggest players in the world right now remember that for the longest time, TSM as they are known, then they went into Astralis. A lot of the players like Device had a lot of issues getting across the finish line. Liquid were the same way. It's a team that feels like they can't quite get across the finish line to me, Tom. And I think Gambit have maybe sensed that, especially on Inferno.
Counter-Strike is very much a game where you have to kick people while they're down.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. You have to be oppressive. There's no room for mercy in this game.
That's Big V's message. Be oppressive.
Yeah, exactly. This announcement brought to you by Big V. Be oppressive in CS.
Oh, yeah. Clarify in CS. Okay.
Yeah, definitely in a computer game, guys. In a computer game.
Here we go. A two-man advantage already. AGF, they are falling flat once again. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. And looking like that play from Axel might have just brought them and the team back from the depths. Since that play has had 7 kills. Granted, 4 of them were in that round. TMB started to disappear back into his t-shirt. I guess if you can't see his neck, then he can't choke. That's the way he's thinking.
That's some like proper Twitch chat. 2 heads top and faster, isn't it? Has no neck, can't choke, 2 heads.
If it isn't one, it should be. Not much invested into this one, hoping to get something done. They want to pressure the AWP, and actually Nafani has gone down, unable to see as they round the corner. The problem is Hobbit decides to spring into action, knowing that Froslev is in the corner. They take their lead even further. 14-12, a streak of rounds off the back of some USP genius. I feel like we've highlighted a lot that play. The other thing we didn't mention too much is the flashbang that came out from Shiro. And yeah, it said that right. Shiro, of all people, was unbelievable to set him up for it as well. So if it's not one of the top 5 plays of the day, I'm going to be very disappointed because personally, I think I'd put it first. Either way, push out long. They should expect Lucky to be here. It seems like they might be unaware.
A lot of smokes in their eyes, and Axile through the smoke though does deliver. TMB, the victim. Lucky at least does bounce back, and just the highlight, Shiro has 51 kills. In fact, pardon me, not 51. I've done him a disservice. 61 kills in this best of 3 so far. Not for the first time, the car has been smoked off. Axile has stayed there after getting the first kill in the round and is joined by Hobbit, who's perched up on the site. AGF, though, they do have control over middle, but it's more passive. And no one's even close to catwalk. There's still enough time to pull the plug and get out of long, but they've expended a lot to get here in the first place.
They're going to retreat back, and yeah, as you mentioned, they've got a couple of smokes remaining, so it will still allow them the majority of the takes available. Timing for Hobbit. We haven't mentioned him too much, but he's starting to really put on a show as well, and Shiro just isn't stopping. Everybody seems to have risen to the occasion. Christo, he's going to run through the Molotov. It gets him 1, but what are the chances this benefits him in the long run? 22 HP and AWP picked up. But no one's going to peek him here. They've got no reason to. Axile is in the perfect place to deny any plant. And with the amount of time left, he almost has to just run to the site or save. And the problem with saving is there are players coming in from behind. He expects it, though. A nice shot onto the first, but he's not going to be allowed to convert anything further. Money in the gutter. Gambit, they've done it twice now. Looking out of a map, looking done. Axile maybe deciding that he's not going to play the first few rounds just to give his teammates another chance to up their stats a little bit. I don't know what it is, but each time he's had a clinical round, and well, this is it. AGF tournament elimination if they don't manage to convert this round.
It almost feels like he was playing one-handed or something, you know? And then round 21 came along and he was like, okay, boys, look, I'll activate. Let's go. He was 2-14. He's now like 11-15 or something. Like, just an unbelievable turnaround. Netric, though, does get the first, but a lot of damage. Inters can pull back. Grenade out, lots of damage again, softening all the targets up, but he has fallen down, and now Netric goes for that wraparound. AGF again, whenever they look down, they just have this wild swing, this haymaker that seems to connect and KO Gambit again and forces them on the back foot.
It almost reminds me of that sort of like, did you watch, I don't know anything really about Dota, but they had some pretty cool videos watching the sort of OG team. And in the moments where it looked the worst, that was where they almost just fell back into the patterns of, okay, let's just try whatever we can. We have nothing left to lose. And AGF again seemed to fall into that bracket of just like, okay, we have already beaten expectations. I don't think anybody pinned them to be even a semi-final team going into the tournament. I definitely didn't. I thought maybe they could give a few of the teams a run for their money. Of course, we had the Swedish newbies on the block that I expected them to be able to take. But when it came to some of the other rosters like Apex, I pinned Apex probably winning that. Instead, they've got to this point and they have put on a show. They've given Gambit a run for their money. There's no doubt about that. Overtime in the first map, with them being in the lead for the majority. Some impressive halves of Counter-Strike against the team that has been on the rise. And as a last hurrah with Christo, this has been probably better than any expectations they could have had. At the same time, they are 2 rounds away from elimination. So they can say all they like that the job is done. There's no pressure at this point. But I won't believe that at all, because the second you get to one milestone, there's always another goal.
Definitely. And in any competitor, in any kind of metric, and especially for these guys that want to one day, I'm sure, be the best players in the world, there is an ego, there is a level of narcissism. Like you have to believe that you are exceptionally good at a game to have put this much time and effort in to be in a position like this. You have to believe that you can win. Otherwise, why are you here in the first place? So AGF, yes, you've exceeded expectations, but don't let that be as far as you go. Don't settle for that mediocrity. Keep pushing. And it's great to see that they have, Tom. They have not given this up at any stage in the game. I expected a bloodbath on Dust 2. I'll be honest. They've completely blown me away, the fact they've got it this close.
Maybe a little bit of frustration there, TMB catching a nade. Been one of my standouts, or just one of these standouts. I don't even need to premise it with my opinion. It's a fact at this point. Proven himself as a one to watch Danish Counter-Strike, which, well, there's a few of them, but I put him fairly near the top of players that deserve opportunities, potentially in some of the up-and-coming teams. Hobbit looking to try and fight for short control, but he's getting tapped through. The flashbang is perfect, but they don't actually go off of it. Instead, Axile in position, but it's a whiff. That could be the opening that they need. Smoke down, nade over the top. I'm even going to see Hobbit dropping down, and Nafani's under pressure. He loses his life. Hobbit has everything to do. 25 kills already to his name. The spray nets him another, bringing things back into a 3v3 and not over-facing, not over-fighting, pulling back to give his team a chance in the retake.
Bottom fragger on Inferno is really beginning to shine. Immaculate hold, putting Gambit into a position to feasibly retake this, but they're not done just yet. AGF still with 3 bodies, 2 of which are on the site, the 3rd in the pit. Inters tossing in grenades. Goose wants the correct call. Inters takes the head off, and now Shiro shows his hand. Christo doesn't have the open ramp. The bomb's planted in an awkward spot for him. He has to come out into the open, and in doing so, Gambit will be successful. Such a nice try from AGF, but ultimately Gambit get across the finish line, and they'll face Spirit in the finals.
It is definitely the final we expected, but this tournament has definitely had its twists and turns. AGF getting themselves through to the semi-finals was one of them, and in both maps putting up a real fight. I would say they deserved the map, and I don't think that's an unfair thing to say in comparison to Gambit. Don't get me wrong, they played well, but at the same time, I think AGF in many circumstances played better. Unfortunately, it seems like the experience of Gambit got the better of them in the end.
I think experience is the key difference maker here between the two of them, and I really hope that AGF take a lot from this tournament. You guys performed so well, made a lot of fans out there. You can be really proud of what you've accomplished. But we'll break down more of the action. I say we, it'll be the desk, obviously.
Yeah,
First, though, we'll cut to a very quick break. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
No mercy. That's what Big V wanted to see, and in the second half, that's what Gambit delivered, sending a promising AGF out of the playoffs. Axel made a game-changing hero play that turned his team's fortunes around, and Shiro was the man of the moment, continuing to deliver multi-kill after multi-kill. So let's just talk about Gambit just really pulling things together, boys. That was quite the performance. It's just a shame that it took us quite a few rounds to get there, Blair.
Yeah, I feel a little deflated for AGF because even though we all predicted Gambit to win this, they fought hard. I mean, listen, taking to overtime in Inferno 16-13, that resurgence from them in the first half of Dust 2, kudos. I mean, like, really, take a bow. I think they should be very proud of what they've achieved so far. But that round 22, almost a full eco, and then Axel having such a quiet game, just wakes up, 3 kills to the USP, picks up an op, 2 kills to the USP rather, picks up the AWP, and gets 2 more frags. And they're going to be going back to that round again and again, I guarantee you, and they're going to just be cursing themselves that let that happen.
Well, Vu, you prepared another round to us. This is focusing on Gambit and their dueling B splits.
Well, this is something we went over with Spirit, is a very similar B split to what Gambit played here. We should have a round popping up. And they had, there you go. They have a B split here on round number 5, where you're going to be able to see a missed shot here on Nafany, who's then going to drop in a CT. Frostlev will be able to get the pick. And then you can see out middle, Axel. This is his 2 kills in the first half. He gets the kill onto Frostlev. And this is how good Gambit is when rounds get kind of chaotic. They allow Axel to move forward. He moves up into the B site, and they're waiting for this rotate. Hobbit's going to be able to pick up the kill onto, that's Christo rotating over. And they just go back around into tunnels, and they group up, they wait, they get the kill on Lucky here. Shiro swings out on him, grabs the kill, and that's pretty much the round from there on out. Just a brilliantly played round by Gambit, and AGF was split up, or AGF was set up pretty well for it, but Axel on the entry, a little bit too good, and just Gambit in the chaos, they make things work time after time.
They really do. And I think that maybe we should actually talk to one of those masters of chaos, because we have Axel standing by waiting to chat to us. So let's get him in the chat room. Axel, congratulations, because that was quite something, especially from you in that second half. But first of all, because I'm a fangirl, I want to ask, what's it like to in-game lead a team with Hobbit on?
Who is the team? Or what?
Well, you're calling the shots for the team, and people were surprised that it's. Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry. That is not true. That's Nafany, and that is something I was going to ask him, and then I realised we've got you, and that's terribly embarrassing because you're in the final. I've just embarrassed myself in front of a finalist. So Axel, I'm just going to ask you about the final instead. How is it for you being in the final?
It is good, yes, but it was a nervous game. I don't know. It was so hard for me. I don't know why, but I just get 2 frags on first half on Dust. It was hard. I just going somewhere and died every time. I don't know. But second half was good. I think I do the good work, and I think it's helped us.
Okay. Axel, going back to Inferno, right? One thing we noticed was your banana control. It seemed to be lacking a lot, especially on the CT side. Now, is this something you guys are aware of? Is that your style? Don't you guys usually like going for much banana control on the CT side?
Yeah, banana is a very important thing in our team. We just working for this point every day, updating something and upgrading. I don't know, and we have really many tactics on banana for CT.
Okay.
I actually wanted to direct back to the Dust 2 game, the unfortunate 2-kill half. You got pretty unlucky a few times, definitely getting killed by a blind opper once or twice.
Yes.
But the duel with Netric on long, I noticed last day you were playing, you were winning that 1v1 on long against pretty much every team you played, but Netric was getting the better of you. Were you having a bit of an off half, or was that something else?
I just stayed in bad angles, and I just died because I can't kill him because it's impossible to kill with my angle. I don't know. Maybe I was nervous. I don't know.
Just a bad day.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the moment when your day turned into a good one, Axel. In that second half, you're on Cat, and then you managed to get 2 beautiful kills with the USP, the quick switch to the AWP, and then another kill for your troubles. How did you decide to make that play, or did you not even think about it?
I just saw the bad molly on short, and Shiro's flash was really good, and I just decided to pick them, and it was really lucky. I don't know. They are full blind, and I just killed them.
Axel, I don't think that was luck, especially when you got the quick scope. That was absolutely insane. And I know you're on boot camp right now. What is it like when those huge moments happen? Are you quite a loud, passionate team?
Yeah, and I find really loud. I don't know.
Who is the loudest? You can tell me. I know they're next to you, Nafani.
He's screaming. I don't know.
Is he with you right now? Is he next to you?
He's behind me. I don't know.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Okay.
He's looking at me right now.
Drag him over. Drag him over. Get him over. I just want to see him. I just want to wave, to be honest.
I don't know if
he's not there. It's fine. But I am loving that incredible high technology gaming chair. Amazing. Listen, Axel, congratulations.
This one.
Yeah,
Shiro's
That's
chair.
the best game.
Oh, it's the magic chair. Shiro's chair. It's
That's why you're
magic.
good in Counter-Strike.
Is that a little
It's
like a boost
incredible
version?
chair.
Yeah, okay. I think that a great new business plan for Gambit, Axel, is patent. So basically, trademark the chair. And I'll definitely buy that on one of your jackets because they're my favorite in esports. Axel, congratulations. And we will see you in that grand final tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Honestly, like I let the side down there, boys. I think I was so in my brain about like wanting to ask certain things. And then we got Axel, who is actually who we wanted to talk to in the first place. We just didn't know if he could speak English. And he was absolutely marvelous. Oh, right. Let's just take the opportunity to talk about AGF before we go into the top 5 plays of the day. You guys mentioned it as we came in from the break. They actually really did impress us. For me, they've grown throughout this tournament. They struggled against Apex. Obviously, they narrowly lost against them, managed to find themselves again in that rematch. And actually today, I feel like we saw them play better than we've actually seen them play this entire tournament, Blair. I see you nodding your head.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, they need to just take a bow. That was a brilliant performance. What I loved a lot is like in all these DreamHack Opens, there have been times where some of these underdog teams do qualify for the playoffs. And then you see scrappy, kind of like free-flowing Counter-Strike where they're trying to be gimmicky and trying to catch the favorites off guard. That wasn't what we saw today. We saw some well-drilled sides. We saw some great teamwork overall. These are some generic terms I'm throwing out here, but that's missing usually when it comes to these sort of underdog teams. And they showed a lot of promise. And a cool thing, there wasn't like one star player for the team who really stepped up. It was, as a unit, it seemed to be well honed, a very cohesive unit that worked for them. Even though they're losing Crystal right now, I still look forward to see what this team still have in store for us here. They're going to pick up a new fifth and maybe some new Danish Wunderkid Opper joining the lineup maybe later on. I want to see what these guys are up to in the near future.
A Danish team being well coordinated. Who would have thunk it? Oh my. Nade damage too. They were nade stacking all over the place. Can't believe it from a Danish team.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them again. Maybe we'll see them at the December DreamHack Open. Who knows? But we do know right now we're going to take a look at our top 5 plays of the day because we had some real standout moments today, boys.
We did indeed. And starting things off is going to be Lucky with, I wouldn't call it a Lucky 1v3. He played it perfectly. He isolates the first player, Axel gets taken down, and the nifty little spray transfer to clutch out the 1v3.
We've got the Shiro op hacks. 2 kills through the wall here, TMB. And then the repeat from Christo kind of gave that one away, but Shiro certainly... I mean, there's a reason he's doing so well, knowing to spam that again, then just posting up on the good angles, getting the crisp, clean locks.
We're heading back over to train here. Sundai Young is on the outer side. A crisp, lovely stuff with a 1v3. Oh, look at that. Look at that flick. My God.
My God, dude, this guy's good. And we're going to be heading to number 2, and this is, of course, the round that broke a lot of Danish hearts. It was a 1v3 from Shiro. It should never have happened. It was a 2v5. He was the only player with a rifle, and he plays it to perfection. The way, just like bobbing and weaving, getting these kills one by one, even timing the final kill to perfection.
And we've got the first clip. So nice. We're going to play it thrice. Axile mentioned it in the interview. With the USP, pulls out the op, not really known necessarily as an opper, but hey, if Rain can do it, then so can Axile. All 4 frags, number 1 of the day.
I could genuinely watch that over and over again. That is like, mwah. I've got like some screens behind me. If we can just arrange that for tomorrow, please, DreamHack Production, I'd really appreciate it. It's going to make me so happy, honestly. And you know what? I've got to talk about some other people that made me very happy, or one person in particular, because it's time for our DTS Player of the Day. And I feel like this is kind of obvious, but it should be, because he had a standout performance. Shiro, ladies and gentlemen, Vu. You've got to love this guy.
I mean, we were talking about him struggling a little bit yesterday. Then we looked into the stats, and he wasn't actually very much under average. And today was absolutely ridiculous, round after round. If it wasn't for Shiro, Gambit wouldn't be in the finals right now.
He really, really stepped up when it mattered most. He led for his team and hopefully inspired them to that victory. But tomorrow, they are all going to need to turn up to the server because they're going to be facing Spirit in the grand finals here at the DreamHack Open November. And it ain't going to be an easy one because it is a best of 5. So Gambit, yes, they got the strongest map pool here, but Spirit, they are a well-oiled machine when they choose to be. So it's going to be a very, very close one. Boys, I'd love to get your predictions right now, just to see if you maintain them after you think overnight, after you're awake, thinking through what you've done. So Blair, what do you think?
Okay, I wasn't ready for that. Listen, it's 3 a.m. in the morning for me. I'm gonna plead the 5th. I'm not gonna.
He's trying to trip you up.
I know what she's trying. I'm not gonna give it.
No to me. All right, Vu, don't disappoint me, please, so you can be my favorite analyst.
You know, I'm definitely gonna change my opinion tomorrow. But Spirit 3-0, easy. No No re.
In other words,
Wow.
you've not looked at the numbers yet, Fu. So we'll check in with those tomorrow, and we're going to check in with our sponsors now. They are wonderful. They make this happen. It is, of course, Intel, MSI, Corsair, Monster, and DTS. Thank you so much to you guys for making this happen. We are going to check out for the evening, but we need you guys to check in tomorrow because the grand final is going to be at 6 p.m. So the pre-show will be shortly before. So in other words, turn up 5:30 p.m. Central European time to see if I have dressed as yet another piece of fruit. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.